Hold on.
I want these for me to do my FD piping, but I never did.
So as you can see now, Pops has got the front bumper off the SR Miata. He's going to pull the radiator because we actually got to get the fans out. The fans, strangely enough, were riveted in before. I don't remember why, but they were. So we're going to have to figure that out. Then we got to mount an oil cooler and do an ATI crank pulley on this guy. We've got a couple other laundry list things to do, but those are kind of the main ones that we're after today. Okay, so we got the power probe hooked up to the fan right here. We're going to test to see if this fan comes on. So this fan definitely comes on. So we're going to go ahead and move the probe over to this other fan. And I'm pretty sure this fan is bad. He knows that only one fan was working. So obviously if we figure out the first one's working. Yeah, so the second one here, as you can see, I'm applying power to this fan right now. And it's not doing anything. Now, potentially it could be a bad connection. So I'm going to unplug it right here off the fan connectors and we'll test it again. But I can smell that, I can smell there's something burning, so pretty sure this fan's bad. So tapping it to this here directly to the fan, you can see this one's no good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll mark this one with a permanent marker to indicate that this one's bad. Here's a fan out, and it's ceased proper. So in the trash we go. So I literally bought a pot because we need a ball crank pulley, and I put it down and now I can't find it. Just like I said yesterday, 30% of my job is finding stuff I put down that I lost. See, look, it's right there on the skyline. God, man. I'm so glad that my head's attached. Almost boiling. So we couldn't record this because we had to do it right away. So we had this boiling for a while and we got the pulley on. So now we just got to measure to get longer belts. We're also going to take a peek at the power steering because power steering blew, and I think it's this fitting right here, the one that goes in the rack. So we'll get that swapped out. I think we have a couple of these, so we'll try a couple different ones from Chase Base to see if it'll work. But if not, he's content without not having power steering anyways. Okay, so we finally got the belts worked out for the ATI damper on the S13 SR. Keep in mind this car does not have an AC compressor. So for the alternator water pump, we have 362 K4, and for power steering we got the 350 K5. Both of these are Duralast belts, which come from AutoZone. So we got that there. I have to order a bunch of gaskets for the Greddy intake manifold, so we'll get those coming. The idle air control valve is actually kind of hard to get. The other two are actually the same as Sentra's, so the intake manifold and the throttle body gasket is the same as the Sentra ones. But I had to, again, order from Nissan, but the idle air control valve is like S13 specific, S13 SR20 specific, and we're hoping our local Nissan dealer can get it. They can usually get it under like the Nismo parts order, but they're gonna have to check to see, and then they'll give me a call back. So in the meantime, I'll have to order one online and just see whichever comes in first. Wouldn't hurt to keep it in stock anyways. So we're gonna take a look at this knock sensor here from ECU Masters. So knock sensors need shielded wire, and we've got a ton of that. So we're gonna go ahead and just plumb this up really quick here, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I'm wiring up the knock sensor here, and so we're dealing with shielded wire here, and we've got our two crimpers here. Just by looking at the tangs though, I think it's gonna be this one here, which is the 1424 Alpha is what I'm thinking. So we get one try, so hopefully this works. So here's the boot, and we got the wire isolators and obviously the connector that we don't need at the moment. Okay, so we got this all set up here. This stripped out to be a 22 gauge wire, so we're gonna go into the appropriate end here for our crimper, and we're just gonna give this a shot and hope for the best. Bam. Cool. So to do the knock sensors, we need the 1424 alpha. Go ahead and take care of the wire retainer side. And bam. So we got a nice little crimp here, and we'll go ahead and we'll knock out the same. So we'll slide over our rubber isolator, and I'll go ahead and I'll strip this wire. Okay, so we got our wire and our crimp in here. Go ahead and grab the same deal here. Make sure our wire is seated, which it is. Give it a nice squeeze. And bam, we got a good crimp there. That feels real good. Alright, so we hit the, go ahead and hit the other end for the wire. And voila, we've got a nice crimp here. And we'll go ahead and put our wires in and we should be good to go. Hey! Okay, so we got a nice little crimp here. And so all we got to do now is slide on the boot. So we got the boot here. Just gotta kind of fight it on. Alright, so for the ECU Masters knock sensor, we definitely use these eye crimps, the IWC 1424Bs. Crimp these on good to go. So I'm going to work on getting this boot a little bit on further on here. I'll do that and then we'll go ahead and install it on the SR Miata. Here it is assembled, and what we'll do now is put this onto the block, and this gets torqued down to 11 foot-pounds. One thing that I do have to mention here is that knock 1 is the knock input, and pin 2. Okay, so here it is all together here. So I do have to mention that pin 1 is the knock input and pin 2 goes to sensor ground, and then the shield will go to power ground, and we'll deal with the shield on the other side of the harness. You only ground it on one side, so we'll ground it on the other side to the ECU. And then this stud will go in, and then we torque down to 11 foot-pounds, and we're ready to go. Okay, so the knock sensor is ready to go. So pin 1 is for the knock input, pin 2 goes to sensor ground. The shield will work on the other side just because we'll be routing it into the ECU anyways. And then the shield goes into power ground, and obviously the stud goes in the block, and we'll torque this down to 11 foot-pounds. Or actually, I think it's... Yep, 11 foot-pounds. So the instructions are on the baggie itself. So we'll get this all installed and then route it in. And that way we're basically ready to go when the gaskets for the intake manifold show up.